Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let's just dive right in. Today, we're taking on a single, incredibly powerful verse from the Zohar. And it might just unlock the entire spiritual operating system of our world. We're going way beyond the surface to understand the hidden architecture of reality, a whole system of cosmic governance that, believe it or not, affects every single nation and every soul on Earth.
So this is our source code, a single line from the book of Genesis, but seen through the eyes of the Zohar's mystics. On the surface, it seems pretty straightforward. It's talking about the creation of giant sea creatures. But as we're about to see, hidden inside these ancient words is a whole universe of meaning. It's like a blueprint for the spiritual forces that shape all of human history.
To navigate this, well, let's be honest, it's a really deep topic. We've laid out a clear roadmap. We're going to start with the verse itself, and then we'll peel back the layers to reveal this system of cosmic politics. We'll even use some modern analogies to make it all click. Then we'll get into this wild idea of a soul with root access, and finally, map out the divine architecture itself. So, let's get started. Okay, I want you to imagine a primordial darkness, vast cosmic waters, and stirring within them are these immense, powerful leviathans. This is the Peshat, the simple, literal meaning of our verse. The book of Genesis makes a point of calling out the creation of these great Taninim, these giant sea dragons. So right away, the text gives us this profound mystery. Out of everything God created, why do these great Tanim get a special mention? The Zohar, of course, picks right up on this and asks the big question. What are they really? The literal reading gives us our first clue. They are the massive creatures of the deep, the Leviathan and its mate. Now, the ancient sages saw this as way more than just a creation story. They taught that if these two original forces were allowed to procreate, their offspring would have been just too powerful for the world to handle. So to keep the cosmic balance, a separation had to happen. The male force was constrained, and the female was, get this, preserved for a future perfected world. So this isn't just about animals, it's a core principle about containing immense spiritual power right at the very beginning of everything. All right, now we move to the next layer of understanding. The story literally transforms from cosmic biology into a map of cosmic politics. Those literal sea dragons, they become a code for something much, much more complex. So the Zohar and other mystical texts tell us that Tananim is actually a code word. It's referring to the 70 celestial princes, the Sarim, who were put in charge of the 70 original nations of humanity. Each nation on this planet, with its own unique culture, language, and destiny, has a spiritual counterpart up in the heavens. Now, this prince isn't a ruler like a king, but more like a celestial channel, a conduit that filters and sends a very specific frequency of divine energy down to its assigned people. And this number, 70, is the key. It is not arbitrary at all. The Torah lists 70 descendants of Noah, who became the 70 root nations of the world. So the mystics explain this corresponds to 70 original languages, 70 national archetypes, and, you guessed it, 70 celestial governors in the spiritual realms. It's the number of multiplicity, of distinction. Think of them as cosmic ministers, each one assigned a specific portfolio, a nation, to manage. And they're all drawing their unique power from a shared but compartmentalized source. This timeline really shows a massive shift in the world's spiritual operating system. See, in the beginning, the divine flow of energy was direct, it was unified. But after the Tower of Babel, when humanity fractured, the whole system got reconfigured. A system of intermediaries, these 70 princes, was put into place. So now each nation gets its spiritual life force, what's called Shefa, through its own celestial channel. This Shefa is the divine bounty, the spiritual juice that lets a nation exist. But now it's passing through a filter, tailored specifically for that nation and its prince. Okay, to really wrap our heads around this complex system of spiritual government, let's use a couple of modern analogies. These really help translate this ancient Kabbalistic framework into a language we can all get our hands on today. For a younger audience, you could imagine the world as a huge multiplayer online game with 70 different kingdoms. Each kingdom has its own unique characters, its own quests, its own rules, and each one is run by a powerful NPC, a boss. Now, this boss doesn't create the game's power, he gets a limited stream of it from the main server to run his kingdom, and his kingdom can only operate within those rules. For the adults, think of it more like cosmic engineering. Reality is a distributed system with 70 distinct domains. Each domain is managed by a control node, a prince, that gets filtered data and energy through a specific, rate-limited API. The key point in both analogies is exactly the same. delegated, indirect, and filtered governance.
So the big question is, right, if the 70 nations are governed indirectly through the system of princes, where does that leave the nation of Israel? This is where the Zohar makes a crucial distinction, and honestly, this is the heart of our entire explainer. The architecture is just fundamentally different.
And this chart just lays out the core difference perfectly. While the nations get a filtered spiritual life force, a shefa, channeled through their own prince, the Zohar says that the soul of Israel has a direct line. It's described as a nefesh haya, a living soul, animated directly by the divine source, with no intermediary, no metalware. In our engineering analogy, the nations are like containerized applications with limited permissions running in these isolated environments. Israel, though, has direct, root-level access to the mainframe itself.
The sages explain that this powerful statement isn't about hierarchy, it's about architecture. The term atom here refers to a complete spiritual composite, a soul structure with all its parts integrated. Nefesh, which is the life force, ruach, the spirit or emotional self, and neshama, the higher intellectual soul. According to the Kabbalists, this complete, integrated structure is only possible through that direct, unmediated connection to the divine source. It defines a totally different kind of spiritual interface with reality.
Okay, now we're going to go deeper, into the sod, the secret level of understanding. Here we'll explore the actual mechanics of this cosmic energy grid, using our tech analogy to map the flow of divine energy.
Okay, let's think of the Ein Sof, the infinite divine essence, as the master cloud server that powers literally everything. The divine will, which is expressed through the Torah, is the source code for reality. The 70 princes act like powerful virtual machines, each one running a nation's operating system. But, and this is crucial, they operate behind a really complex series of firewalls and proxies. It's an intermediary layer that filters, delegates, and even translates the divine energy into a form their specific nation can receive. Israel, in this analogy, has the password for root access. It's a direct, unmediated pipeline to the source code itself, able to interact with the core operating system of reality.
Now, this divine energy isn't just one monolithic force. It flows through 10 divine emanations or sephirot, which are the building blocks of reality. Think of them as divine attributes through which the infinite interacts with creation. It all starts with Keter, the primal will, a point that's beyond our comprehension. This sparks chokmah, a flash of pure insight. That insight is then developed and given structure in binah, or understanding. From there, the energy splits into two main forces: the expansive outward drive of kesed, or kindness, and the contracting, limiting force of gevura, or severity. These two find their balance in tiferet, or beauty. The mystical sources tell us that the 70 princes primarily get their energy from these lower, more constricted levels, especially from gevura, the attribute of severity, limitation, and judgment.
And this whole distinction is just beautifully illustrated through the symbolism of color in Kabbalah. The color red is associated with the system of the princes. It represents din, judgment, and gevura, severity, the principles of division, limitation, and the fragmentation of one single light into 70 distinct, limited channels. Visually, it's like a fractured network of individual red lights. In contrast, white represents chesed, mercy, and unity. It's the pure, singular, all-encompassing beam of light that flows through the direct connection, unfragmented and whole, containing all the other colors within it. It's really the difference between a prism breaking light into a spectrum and the pure sunlight itself.
So, after this incredible journey, from primordial sea creatures to cosmic firewalls, from 70 nations to the soul with root access, we come back to the most important question of all. What does this ancient, intricate blueprint for reality actually mean for us, today? For you and me, living in a world of interconnected nations and so many diverse spiritual paths, what is our function within this grand design?
So the crucial point is this: the Zohar isn't just some abstract theology. It's an operator's manual for the cosmos. It's telling us that reality is an intricate, structured system. It reveals these different modes of connection to the divine source. And most importantly, it teaches that the human soul is the ultimate interface. Our actions, our consciousness, our choices, they have the power to influence and even repair this spiritual architecture, to bring harmony and unity to all these different channels of divine energy.
Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.